Killer Prabhupada clearly brings about with the purpose or highlights the purpose that the attempt of the dacoits to kill Maharaja Bharat was not at all according to any of the injunctions of the Vedas. Prabhupada brings about animals can be killed, but only under good bound of rules and regulations. There is no stricture of killing human beings. The Vedas only sanction just or accept the killing of aggressors, one who has come to murder, one who has come to kidnap or to pollute purposing one's wife, one who has come to set fire to homes. But only such aggressors can be killed. In self-defense, that is basically. Uh, there is no other stricture of killing a human being. What to say of killing a Brahmin? And such a self-realized person as Jadabharat Maharaj was the well-wisher to everyone, was no one's enemy, as it is being described here. So on one hand, the Vedic principles are already quite accommodated. They make sure that all kinds of mentality of people experience gradual elevation, advancement, elevation towards the lotus feet of the Lord, advancement, inspiration. So whereas following and sticking on to any of the Vedic principles or any track under the Vedic umbrella is purifying. The only purification principle in the entire plethora of Vedic trajectories, the only purification principle is adherence to following the instructions of the injunctions which are given. So whereas even following a slow process given by the Vedas would eventually purify a person progressively, but if one does not stick to the injunctions given in the Vedas and concocts or imagines variations with one's own contaminated mind and consciousness, it can lead to disastrous results. So the dacoits were devastated. And therefore, the prime emphasis under the Vedic umbrella comes out is adherence, following, not concocting, not whimsical. Whimsical mentality leads to devastation. We can see here. So that is the point. And this point has to be very carefully noticed. Otherwise, it can lead to great amount of trouble. It can lead to devastation of a practicing sadhaka. So although the Vedic umbrella is auspicious, but if one does not follow, it can lead to Uh, Very unfortunate results. That's the point. So we have to understand the whimsical imagination is that deadly. Like say for example, we hear the case study of Duvidha, and Duvidha had great love for Lord Ramachandra, but he had dissensions towards Lord Lakshmana. Because of that, even though he did great services to Lord Ramachandra, his thought process and activities eventually became offensive towards Lord Lakshmana, owing to which he felt attracted towards the association of demons, and he himself became a demon. Very, very young. So therefore, the most important principle is following the instructions and injunctions of the Shastras. Vaishnava association can potentially uh, purify tremendously. There's a tremendous power to purify the particular devotee. But only if a devotee has a respectful and an attitude of respect and servitude, then only Vaishnava association purifies. Otherwise, if one has an envious attitude or a critical attitude in Vaishnava association, one will be destroyed. One's bhakti will be destroyed in Vaishnava association. So we see that Vedic process is not difficult, but it involves following. There is no scope of whimsical imagination. So we have to understand. Like say for example, deity worship also. Deity worship is a very purifying principle. But if one becomes callous in the service to deities, then one's devotional service can burn. This example of a village, they installed Lord Nrsimha deities, but they did not worship Lord Nrsimha as per the proper standards. They were very careless and frivolous in worship. As a result, the entire village caught fire. Everybody was burned. That entire village was reduced to dust and powder. There are incidents like that. So one must say, duty worship very dangerous. No, not very dangerous, very purifying. But one should not concoct one's own algorithms. The uh, it's easy, it's very clear. Therefore, the Shastras don't give ambiguous instructions. They are giving very clear-cut instructions. Vaishnavas need to be respected. Very clear-cut instruction. There is no ambiguity. Deity worship is based on punctuality and cleanliness. No ambiguity on that. Very clear. Very clear. So those clarity, uh, uh, only thing is one has to follow. So following, so then, no, see, Then the question comes, okay, where is creativity to be applied? Now, where our mind, intelligence has to be applied? Intelligence has to be applied to do the service better and better. The basic minimum has to be taken from the Supreme Court, I mean, from the scriptures. That's it. Like if the principle is to do 6 offerings, someone wants to do 10 offerings, there is nothing wrong. The Lord will accept it. The Lord will accept. No? But if the principle is 6 offerings, if that is the standard set by the deity ministry or the senior GBCs, and one does 2 offerings, so that is offensive. That is offensive. That is the point.
Hare
So
Krishna,
the
Prabhuji.
creative and intelligence has to be applied in doing the service better. At the baseline of the service, what is to be done is given by the scriptures. It has to be accepted as no concoctions there. Yes, question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danatnam.
Yes, Varun. Now will proceed.
Sometimes we see that uh, in different place there is a different standard of worshipping. For example, in Whitefield Base, there is a different, 3 rounds are there for Tulsi, 5 rounds are there in Tulsi Maharani, and then 3 rounds to Acharya. But in different place there is a 3 rounds. So how does it affect Prabhu?
Yes. So the standard of worship may be different in different temples because every temple is evolving. So there is a basic minimum standard, and then every temple grows from that standard and increases the standard. Deity worship, the standard is whatever standard is set once cannot be rolled back down. We can improve, we can increase, we cannot decrease like that. So, but there is a basic minimum which every temple starts with depending on the size of the temple, the funds it has, the number of pujaris it has, number of full-time devotees it has, and so on. So, what is the basic minimum standard that is set by the deity ministry, which works under GBCs? So there is an ISKCON deity ministry. The ISKCON deity ministry installs all the deities in ISKCON, and so they talk, understand the situation of the temple, and they fix the minimum standard which has to be followed. The temples start from that standard, the deity ministry observes them. Slowly, the temples can increase their standards like that. So that is why different ISKCON temples appear to be having different standards in terms of number of offering, how much time arati is done, how many times dressing is done, how much items are made in every offering. That is the basic minimum which the deity ministry sets, and temples can slowly evolve and increase the standard. But nobody can go down the basic. That is that's how it works. So that's how it works. Patience can increase, not decrease, like that. So that's the first aspect which you can learn here. The next aspect is we had touched upon the thread. We can see the thread being highlighted very much here. And in this world, although they are nefarious and devilish people, people of evil mind, but how much damage they can do has a limit. Like Maharaj Jadabharat had nothing to worry. Although these people were wanting to destroy him, even without his being concerned about what is happening, even without his praying to the Lord specifically to save him, the Lord checked these demons. So we have to understand demoniac people are on a falling curve. It's just a matter of time. It is just a matter of time. So demoniac people and demoniac traits cannot sustain for long. Demoniac people are making their own graves and they die within their graves. That is how it happens. Therefore, therefore, a devotee never gives up his commitment and his faith, his commitment and confidence in Krishna. That is the point. Sometimes the demoniac forces may seem to overpower. It's not that the Lord is not going to take any action. We have to understand. They're overpowering only for some time. Demoniac mentality on the rise is just a signal of devastation for the demons. That's all. That means very soon their devastation and destruction is going. So therefore, one of the most important principles for a devotee or sadhaka is to stick on to his or her spiritual practices because the demons will fall in due process. Just like Dev Goswami, the demons, demoniac, the Lutera, dacoits, they overpowered. They tried to kill Jaydev Goswami, got saved by Krishna. They threw him in the well after cutting his hands, legs, making him bleed very badly. After 3 days, the Lord arranged help for him. He was chanting all 3 days, lying down in a blood pool inside a well. His dacoits came again in the kingdom disguised as merchants. So the Lord punished them. The earth only opened and they got submerged inside the earth. The Lord punished them. But because you see, now we see Jayadev Goswami, why he did not start a mission to kill these demons, to eradicate Mother Earth from the demoniac. That anything is good. But because Jayadev Goswami simply continued to take shelter of the Lord, not even specifically asking the Lord ever for any help against the material situation. Because of that, because of his adherence to these spiritual principles, so many people got faith in Krishna consciousness. So the king, the queen, the minister, the citizens, everybody took initiation from Jayadev Goswami in that kingdom where he was thrown in that well. Just because he clinged on to the shelter of Krishna. So yes, when negativities and demoniac forces rise, if under the direction and guidelines of the Vaishnavas, we are able to take some action which can mitigate or protect or shield the demonic forces from incriminating trouble on Vaishnavas, devotees, and people in general, then that can be done. But one of the most important things to cling on is to not dilute or lower down one's practice of Krishna. Many times, when demoniac forces rise, the people's eyes get opened from the slumber of illusion. Their eyes get opened. And the eyes are opened and they're looking for light, hope. And devotees are adhering to the principles and practice of Krishna consciousness. They become like bigger knights. Everybody gets, yeah, in this way, people get attached to Krishna. So that we have to understand. The Lord anyways arranged for the annihilation of the demons. In that way, we also get faith that the Supreme Lord is active, not that the Supreme Lord is not active, just watching the pastimes of Maharaja Jadavan. Let's read further. Krishna Namanashiro Samesya Ramasarinasta Bhukupita Samsran Samsrarune Sanato Paya Vadana Antu Kamenedam Mantana Samarambena Teta Patya Papi Yasha Krishna Enai Vasina Viprakarna Shishana Kala Shavantam Ashrik Asavam Atyushna Sahagane Nanipiyantu Panama Vihivalo Jai Saram Saparasade Sahajagau Nanal Vijaharacha Shirapun Shirakhanduka. Intolerant of the offences committed, the infuriated goddess Kali flashed her eyes and displayed her fierce, curved teeth. Her reddish eyes glowed and she displayed her fearsome features. She assumed a frightening body as if she were prepared to destroy the entire creation. Leaping violently from the altar, she immediately decapitated all the rogues and thieves with the very sword with which they had intended to kill Jadabharat. She then began to drink the hot blood that flowed from the necks of the beheaded rogues and thieves, as if this blood were liquor. Indeed, she drank this intoxicant with her associates, who were witches and female demons. Becoming intoxicated with this blood, they all began to sing very loudly and dance, as though prepared to annihilate the entire universe. At the same time, they began to play with the heads of the rogues and thieves, tossing them about as if they were balls. But it is evident from this verse that the devotees of Goddess Kali are not at all favored by her. It is Goddess Kali's work to kill and punish the demons. Goddess Kali Durga engages in decapitating many demons, dacoits, and unwanted elements in the society. Neglecting Krishna consciousness, foolish people try to satisfy the goddess by offering her many abominable things. But ultimately, when there is a little discrepancy in this worship, the goddess punishes the worshipper by taking his life. Demoniac people worship goddess Kali to obtain some material benefit, but they are not excuse of the sins performed in the name of worship. To sacrifice an animal or man before the deity is specifically forbidden. We have to understand that you see this drive of sense gratification is such a risky drive, as it is highlighted here. The entire foray of demigod worship is arranged just to facilitate sense gratification of the living entity, so that the living slowly and gradually gets purified of its material attachment. But it's such a risky trajectory because a little discrepancy and one will be finished. Little discrepancy, one will be finished. So, so the point is that this demigod worship, see, it is not. So the main point is what? That the mentality of enjoying material sense gratification is itself so poisonous. Only by the arrangement of the Lord, that is the demigods, there is some amount of the person will be saved at least if one clings on. But if that also one gives up, then nothing is help the person. So sense gratification is poisonous, very badly poisonous. And that is why we have to be very careful in exploring and grabbing on the material sense gratification. So that mentality, very dangerous. That mentality is very hazardous. That is the point. So it's not that the Lord does not punish the demons. The Lord punishes the demons in a very horrifying manner. You can see here how Mother Kali is actually decapitating the heads of these rogues and thieves and playing like balls and drinking their blood, which is oozing out of their cut necks. The visualization is very, very horrifying. Very horrifying. But that's how the demons are going to be, that's a destination where what the demons are going to meet. And the devotees are going to be protected. That is the principle. That's like Yadavarat Maharaj is protected. So Krishna is going to give a better opportunity to a devotee always. In this case, the Lord is protecting the very life of the Yadavarat Maharaj. But in some cases, where the life is not protected, the Lord will protect the consciousness and Chaitanya and give opportunity for the devotee to continue one's devotional service. Conscious, there are standards for worship of the gods, which are mentioned in the scriptures. Uh, so even Bhagavatam mentions the standard for the worship of the demigods. We respect demigods as servants of Krishna. We offer obeisances to them as servants of Krishna. And we can seek blessings for them, from them, for our devotional service. The gopis are worshipping Mother Katyayani to obtain Krishna. So that standard of worship is set by the Bhagavatam. So there is a standard of worship like that, which is set by the Bhagavatam for the demigods. So the devotees are protected, the demons will be destroyed ultimately. It's just a matter of time. So it is just a matter of time. Why the Lord gives them time? That is something to understand also. Uh, you see, when the demoniac forces rise, those who are devotees will take greater shelter of Krishna. Those who are not devotees but not demoniac will lose their faith in demonism. Many of them are very likely to turn to Krishna because they can see that, okay, their atheistic party is demons, and they can see that no, the danger of the materialistic side, how people become demons, how it is so bad like that. So that is one of so that is one of the effects. Therefore, therefore one should always positively cultivate attraction, attachment to the Supreme. That is the point.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Many times, yes, question.
Prabhuji, so in this we can by this we can understand that this particular incident of Mother uh, Kali coming out from the altar and killing everyone. So it is to discourage that the demigod to give up the demigod worship and worship to Krishna. Is it like that?
The question is that this incident of Mother Kali killing the worshippers, dacoits, is it to discourage people to worship the demigods and to only worship Krishna? That is the question. No, it is basically to discourage demonic mentality as a point. There are many worshippers of, there have been other worshippers of Kali who became great acharyas, like Chandidas. Chandidas was a worshipper of Mother Kali, but he never had any material desires. That is the point. So the point which is highlighted here is demigod worshippers are generally those who have material attachments. But that attachment, no, but they will be benefited only if their faith and respect for that demigod increases, and they follow the injunctions given in the Shastras for the demigod worship. If their attraction and attachment to sense gratification is much more than their faith in the demigod, and they are completely whimsical and mad after obtaining such gratification, then that demoniac, no, then that is very demoniac way of worship, and that worship is going to lead to disaster. So, so yes, definitely we can see in all respects, in all perspectives, big shelter of Krishna, then that is the best move to take. Yeah, let's read further. Yes. Yes, we can understand that Mother Kali is servant of Krishna. So, so the entirety of the injunctions of the Shastra, the demigods, everyone is here to help the living entity purify one's desires and surrender to the Supreme Personality of God and God. If one is slow, he'll be helped, but one should be sincere. The one is slow, will be helped, provided he is sincere. These dacoits were not sincere. They had no respect for Mother Kali. They were only obsessed towards the sense gratification. And therefore, they dared to disobey the scriptures and concoct their own offering. No? Thinking Mother Kali to be having a lowly thinking like their own. What they were thinking, Mother Kali will enjoy this killing, this blood, and all that. No. So that means they no understanding. They had no subservience. They were sort of bribing that sense. They thought, okay, this would be a good bribe, this would be very attractive. Huh? Mother Kali will please. That's what they thought. They were very obsessed, rusty. So they were destroyed. Text 19. एवमेव अनुमहद् अभिचरतिक्रमन् कास्येन फलते. When an envious person commits an offense before a great personality, he is always punished in the way mentioned above. So why Mother Kali is outraged? The reason is that okay, Mother Kali is a great Vaishnavi. She doesn't even want people to offer these animals. So she doesn't she's not at all pleased with that also. Yeah. So but because the Vedas it is mentioned that okay, one can do that if one is so much attached. And one will get reaction, but because of regulation, one will get purified in the course of time. So when that is done, because that is the verdict of the scriptures, then she unwillingly tolerates that. But okay, fine. No? Unwillingly she tolerates that. But somebody tries to act smarter than that, then Mother Kali goes wild. So she has gone wild. Why? So these dacoits thought they are very smart. So actually, this kind of concoction and imagination reveals the mentality of these dacoits. That's why I see they are termed as very envious fellows. The point is what? These dacoits' mindset was their mindset was to exploit and go to any extent to fulfill their nasty desires, like that. And therefore, they thought, okay, even let us kill this man. So easily that thought came. Huh? That goes to show that their heart was so dirty. Their heart was so dirty. That- Let's read further. Yes, question. Who? Okay. So yes, the pure devotees don't react. They just take shelter of the Lord. Should we react or not? I suppose. How much to react? When to react? We should work in consultation of Vaishnavas. If it is possible to react and defend ourselves, we can do that. Nothing wrong in that. Like it is being said, if somebody comes to kill, the intention of dharma is we can counter it. Like even the government law allows that. But there are situations when it may not be possible to react or the reaction is not having any effect. Then what to do? So whether we react or don't, or to whatever extent we react, uh, one should very strongly take shelter of Krishna. That should not forget. That's it. That one should not forget. So yes, if body becomes disease, we take medicine. But that the body is so diseased that even after medicine, nothing is going to happen. We should not take care, throw down our taking shelter of that. Our reactions can work wherever it can work and it is sanctioned in react. And wherever it doesn't work, Krishna comes, not it. So, okay, if we can do it. If we can, we can. We cannot. That's it. Yes, so whatever we can do is fine. Under consultation and under what the scriptures allow, that is okay. Let's see further text 20. But we should not forget to chant, take shelter of Krishna, pray to Krishna. That is the point. When problem comes, not only we have to think of solution, but we have to understand that it may intensify my taking shelter of Krishna. That is also important. But we should chant Hare Krishna also along with that. And in spite of our efforts, the fire may not get uh, this thing like that. So it's important to take shelter of Krishna, and if we can, and if we understand, and that that reactive move is sanctioned by the scriptures, we can react. Like one can react to a snake is given in the scriptures, we can react. That is fine. If we can, if we are able to. If not, at least we can chant. That is the point. That Nava ekam Krishna Mamatam Yat Sambramam Swashira Svedana Apati Depi Vimukta Deha Dhyana Sarvasattva Suddha Nirvairina Sakshat Bhagavatani Sare Parayodhena Kotena Taister Bhave Parirakshemana Tatpadam Tam Akutasya Vayam Upashitana Bhagavata Paramahamsana. Sukadeva Goswami then said to Parikshit Maharaj, O Vishnu Dutta, O Vishnu Datta, those who already know that the soul is separate from the body, who are liberated from the invincible knot in the heart, who are always engaged in welfare activities for all the living entities, and who never contemplate harming anyone, are always protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who carry his disc, the Sudarshan Chakra, and acts as supreme time to kill the demons and protect the devotees. The devotees always take shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. Therefore, at all times, even if threatened by decapitation, they remain unagitated. For them, this is not at all wonderful. Purpose. These are some of the great qualities of a pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. First, a devotee is firmly convinced of his spiritual identity. He never identifies with the body. He is firmly convinced that the spirit soul is different from the body. Consequently, he fears nothing. Even though his life may be threatened, he is not at all afraid. He does not even treat an enemy like an enemy. Such are the qualifications of devotees. Devotees are always fully dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Lord is always eager to give them all protection in all circumstances. Yes. Now, this is a very important principle of Krishna consciousness, a beautiful principle of Krishna consciousness. The Lord is always ready to protect, but every living entity has to make a choice of allowing the Lord to offer protection. Because this material world, the contract demanded by the living entity is that the Lord should not interfere. Therefore, the Lord does not interfere. And the Lord has made a system. So if one messes up with the system, one is going to face trouble. And now when one is going to face trouble, the injunction is the demand of the living entity was the Lord should not interfere. Therefore, the Lord does not interfere, although the Lord can protect. However, if the living entity little bit realizes his or her folly and turns towards the Supreme Lord, immediately one is offered to. So the Lord is ready to protect. We have to allow the Lord to do that. It's just like person house is on fire. There are people who can come and protect. But person has to open the door and allow people to come. Otherwise, how they will enter the building? Otherwise, how they will enter the building? One has to open the door. That's all. If one is not willing to open the door and wanting to solve and set right the affairs oneself, one will be burnt. The Lord can protect. So one has to allow the Lord. So that is why one who takes shelter of the Lord's full protection is guaranteed to such a person. So here Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the purport that a devotee of the Lord is convinced that he is not the body. So he fears nothing. And therefore to say even though his life is threatened, he is not afraid. He doesn't treat an enemy like an enemy. So this goes to show that a devotee is not just obsessed simply because of material fear. That is the point. Many devotees have practiced and preached Krishna consciousness in areas where people, government, had been quite antagonistic towards Krishna consciousness. Preaching is flourishing even in areas where the entire state is against the cause of Sanatana Dharma. Even today, even today. So how is it possible? Devotees have practiced Krishna consciousness and preached and expanded the movement even at death threat. How is it possible? It is possible. That is the nature of the devotees. So the devotees are not just obsessed and worried because of material factors. Yes, yes, yes. So we've seen examples of devotees even in wars. They are distributing prasadam. They are serving. They are preaching. So it does not matter how long and how much we live. What matters is whatever time period we live, do we serve Krishna? Are we Krishna conscious? That's what matters. That's what. What is the use of 100 years of life? Not even one from chanting. What is the use of that? Huh? So, what is the use of a non-devotee life, even if it is thousands of years? So, therefore, a devotee is not too much afraid. Therefore, a devotee is not too much afraid. Prabhupada never feared. Many Prabhupada disciples never feared. We should also never fear. As because if we keep taking material calculations so very seriously, there is no end to material calculations, and there is no end to the discouragement of income owing to the material factors. That is the point. So material factors will never give us a positive go result. But okay, this is most auspicious. Now we can day and night freeze anything you can do. No, material factors will always say this problem, that problem. All problems will get resolved when we understand that overemphasizing material factors itself is a big problem. That is the point. Overemphasizing material factors itself is a big problem. So devotee has more faith in the Supreme Lord. That is the point. And such a devotee is fully dependent on the Supreme Lord. The devotee is not fearful. Such a devotee is fearless. Presents the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the fifth canto, ninth chapter of Bhagavatam, entitled The Supreme Character of Jadabharat. So with that, let's begin chapter 10. Chapter 10 is a discussion between Jadabharat and Maharaj Rahuguna. So now when Maharaj Rahuguna is coming in the picture, Acharya explained this Maharaj Rahuguna is the same deer. Maharaj Rahuguna is the same deer. It has come. You know? So therefore, unless you spiritualize material attachments, they are not going to leave us. This time Maharaj Rahuguna is preaching to the deer, you know. So he is spiritualized. The Jadavanath Maharaj is preaching to the deer. So he spiritualizes the material attachments. Last time he did not. So he got caught up. Let's read text one. केशुप्रवाच तासुसौवीरपते गुणस्य बुधुता इक्षुमत्यस्तते तत्कुलपतेन सिरितवः पुरुषन्ते सहसमये दैवेनोपसादितः सुदिव्यवर उपलब्ध एष तीवयुव संहनाङ्गो बुखारवत् भूरम्भोधूमलम् इति पूर्वावृष्टिगृहीता समकृतः गृहीता प्रचलन् अतदरः उपाहाशिबिकं स महानुभावः Sukadeva Goswami continued, my dear king, after this, King Rahugun, the ruler of the states known as Sindhu and Savira, was going to Kapilastana. When the king's chief palanquin carriers reached the banks of river Ikshumati, they needed another carrier. Therefore, they began searching for someone. And by chance, they came upon Jadabharat. They considered the fact that Jadabharat was very young and strong and had firm limbs. Like cows and asses, he was quite fit to carry loads. Thinking in this way, although the great soldier Bharat was unfit for such work, they nonetheless unhesitatingly forced him to carry the palanquin. यदा निज भरस्येषु मित्रावलोकानुगते न समाहिता जगति तद्विषमगतं गतां सुशिविकां रघुगुणा वधारया पुरुषान् अधिवहता आहे भोजरः साधिक्रमता किञ्चित् विषमं पूयते जनानपि. The palanquin, however, was very erratically carried by Jadabharat due to his sense of non-violence. As he stepped forward, he checked before him every 3 feet to see whether he was about to step on ants. Consequently, he did not keep pace with the other carriers. Due to this, the palanquin was shaking, and King Rahugana immediately asked the carrier, "Why are you carrying this palanquin unevenly? Better carry it properly." But although Jadabharat was forced to carry the palanquin, he did not give up his sympathetic feelings toward the poor ants passing on the road. A devotee of the Lord does not forget his devotional service and other favorable activities, even when he is in a most distressful condition. Jadabharat was a qualified Brahmana, highly elevated in spiritual knowledge. Yet he was forced to carry the palanquin. He did not mind this. But while walking on the road, he could not forget his duty to avoid killing even an ant. A Vaishnava is never envious or unnecessarily violent. There are many ants on the path, but Jadabharat took care by looking ahead 3 foot. When the ants were no longer in his way, he would place his foot on the ground. A Vaishnava is always very kind at heart to all the living entities. In his Sankhya Yoga, Lord Kapil Dev explains, Suvita Sarvadehina. Living entities assume different bodily forms. Those who are not Vaishnavas consider only human society worthy of their sympathy. But Krishna claims to be the supreme father of all the living forms. Consequently, the Vaishnava takes care not to annihilate untimely or unnecessarily any life form. All the living entities have to fulfill a certain duration for being engaged in a particular type of material body. They have to finish a duration allotted by the material body before being promoted or evolved to another body. Killing an animal or any other living being simply places an impediment in the way of his completing his term of imprisonment in a certain body. One should therefore not kill bodies for one's own sense gratification, for this will implicate one in sinful activity. So in this case, Maharaj Jadabharat was forced to carry the gun. He had no much option. Our Prabhupada is highlighting on the principle that even though he was forced to carry the palanquin, he did not give up his devotional service. He did not give up his nature, kind-hearted nature. So he was doing that service with full Krishna consciousness, doing his duty with full Krishna consciousness. So many times material situation, responsibilities, family situation may force us in a particular way, but we should never lower down the priority of our Krishna consciousness. This is called as sincerity. Sincerity means never to lower down the priority of Krishna consciousness in any setting. That is the standard of devotion and service. So we have to understand, even though we are diseased, devotional service is the only medicine. Even though we are weak, devotional service is the only strength. Even though we are not taste, devotional service can only bring about change. So therefore, we can understand in this material world, see, this is called as, in fact, this is called as spiritual. This is called as spiritual. A devotee who does seemingly material activities is spiritual consciousness. When he sees that, it shakes up other people. And because they're shaken up, they're breaking up. And then they say, hey, who's there? What did they do? Huh? And they're shaken up, they're woken up. Shake up, wake up. When they wake up, then they are really understanding that, they really try to see and try to come and understand that why this person is behaving the way he or she is behaving. So they shake up, they wake up, and then they actually take up Krishna consciousness. That's the same thing happened to Maharaj Raghugana. So Maharaj Raghugana got a shake up because everybody is doing material activity on material drive. Devotee doing spiritual drive. He take a lot of shake up. Right? So therefore, the principle of handling material situations, the Lord has already explained. The Lord explains, okay, material deadlocks, we cannot resolve it so easily. We need a higher level of consciousness to resolve. So better if one is not having any clarity on what to do in a material deadlock situation, better one should just chant, take association of devotees. By the power of that, Krishna gives the intelligence how to steer. And so therefore, we have to understand what we have to latch on, catch on to, grab on to, is our practices in devotion service, our sadhana, our service. One should never lower down this practice. Thus, Jadabharat followed the spiritual principles even at such a precarious moment. Now, it led to a very auspicious result. As a Falashruti, Maharaj Rahuguna got awakened and it became such a beautiful preaching. So for a devotee, there is no two lives. There is material life, spiritual life. There is only one life, spiritual life. And a devotee uses his material setting for preaching by spiritualizing. If we spiritualize the material setting, it becomes a beautiful preaching offering for people. And we should, it becomes very beautiful preaching offering. Let's stop here for today. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।